Okay, so the big question, can you stop smoking with an e-cigarette or an electronic cigarette or an e-cig or a vaporizer or whatever you want to call these things? Can you stop smoking using one? Very, very touchy subject, I have to say. Very touchy subject, simply because FTC, governments all over the world are, well, it hasn't been regulated yet. So that means they haven't worked out a way to get their fingers in and sort of take all the money out immediately. So they're going around and putting on this unbelievably huge amount of tax. Like Washington, D.C. just recently had this new law passed that all vape products will have a 70% tax, which is the highest, most unbelievable. I mean, I have no words for that. It's something that basically the government are funded by big tobacco and farmers, which kind of connect back to a few little conspiracies we don't want to get into here, like why is medical marijuana just now being legalized? Why? I mean, you can only hold the truth from the public for so long, but let's just stay away from all these conspiracy theories. It really gets me going sometimes, and I want to just vent a little bit, because the fact of the matter is everyone that I speak to, in the forums, vaping groups, personal friends of mine that have stopped smoking using an electronic cigarette. I actually did not stop smoking using an electronic cigarette, so it's a bit of a funny subject because people are scared to say that you could use it to stop smoking because it's been made against the law in America and probably a few other places as well. You cannot call the UK, I'm sure, as well. They haven't passed legislations regulating e-cigarettes, and because of that, you're not allowed to say it can do anything. You're just allowed to say, here's an e-cigarette, and I go and buy it. It's a bit silly, isn't it? But the fact of the matter is, I have gotten this. The reason I actually got this is because recently I've been sort of clucking a little bit for a cigarette, or I've been craving the need or the want to smoke, and rather than fall and go back to smoking, I ordered an e-cig, and this was about a week ago, and I've got to say that it was the best choice I've ever made. I mean, I was using these, I've said it in my other videos, I've been using these up until now, but they're very, very limited. There's, very, very little smoke or vapor comes out of it. It's not so satisfying. This, on the other hand, I mean, you're getting the whole exhaling addiction dealt with, which for me is the main thing, the ability to just grab something and inhale. I mean, I haven't actually, I've got it very, very low right now at 340 degrees. I spoke about that in another video. There'll be a little annotation link there where you can click on it and go see what I'm talking about. But that's for another subject. So the thing is, I haven't actually used an e-cigarette to stop smoking. I know a lot of friends who have. And I've asked these questions in the Reddit forums and in Facebook groups. And I have to say, 99.99% of the people who have started vaping are ex-smokers. So while we're not allowed to say that it's a stop smoking device, if you do start vaping, you will stop smoking because you'll be vaping. Okay, but we can't say that it's a stop smoking device. We could just say that you'll stop smoking and start vaping. It's not healthier, it's not better for you. I mean, you don't have any of the poisons and the carcinogens and the toxins that you have when you actually combust. So, if you get one of these variable wattage or variable temperature e-cigs, you can lower the temperature to a very, very low degree, like I have it here. Might not necessarily get the hugest clouds, the largest clouds, but you're vaping it at 320 degrees, which is so low that it's pure vapor and nothing is combusting. You're not burning anything. There are no carcinogens or anything that is getting made in the process. Because the problem is, when you burn and combust something and you raise it to a temperature, which is the problem with cigarettes. The problem with cigarettes and burning cigarettes is when you burn them they change the molecular structure of the tobacco. So that basically means that because the structure of the tobacco is changing through the burning process, it creates carcinogens, things that were never there. It makes them, right? So if you just literally ate tobacco, you'd be better off. I mean, it's disgusting. Who wants to do that? But if you vaporize tobacco, you'd probably be even more better off. But I've tried it, and it really isn't that satisfying. You get this big tobacco-y, nicotine-y hit, which is just disgusting. And it's really not enjoyable, so I really wouldn't recommend using a vaporizer, like one of these vaporizer pens that just literally heat up. They heat up, you can fill the tobacco in there, and it heats it up to a certain degree, which is below combustion, and you just get vapors off of so it's basically dehydrating the tobacco and creating vapor in the process. So that's basically what's happening over there. So the e-cigarette doesn't do any of that. It just takes a liquid and vaporizes it. So it's up to you, really, to look at it however you want. I mean, whatever the FTC say and whatever legislation hasn't been made yet, it really is up to you at this stage. And it's up to me. I mean, not really up to me. I have no say in the cigarette market or the industry. I just want to use this to lead a healthier life. And that's why I started vaping and why I stopped smoking, is because I want to lead a healthier life. So de facto, if you stop smoking and start vaping, you will be leading a healthier life because, I mean, all the tests that doctors have done, I mean, it shows that there is absolutely nothing wrong with vaping. I mean, we've got to wait until the government comes out with their legislation that says, oh, okay, now it's legislated, now you can sell it, it's okay now. The main problem is that if you're going and buying like cheap stuff, cheap material, cheap e-cigarettes, cheap components, cheap e-juices, e-liquids, you don't know what they're putting in there. And you're really, really, really probably just better off smoking sometimes. So I would recommend that if you're going to buy e-juice, make sure you're going to a reputable buyer, or a reputable shop, or reputable online shop. I'll try and get a whole bunch of links together for you and maybe put them in the description. Someone shared it in a Facebook group somewhere. Just recently I saw like a list of 20 or so awesome online places that are highly reputable, recommended by thousands of vapors. So, you know, you can go to any of those and you'll be okay. So I'm going to try and get some links together. If I forget, remind me in the comments and say, hey, Simon, where are those links? In any event, I just want to leave that with you, leave that thought, something just you should sit there and process it, because the whole point is if you stop smoking cigarettes and you start vaping, then you've used it to stop smoking. But we can't say that. So let's not say that. And let's not say that it's a stop smoking device. Let's just say that it's an alternative to smoking. It is not a stop smoking device. It is an alternative way to get your nicotine hit, your nicotine fixed. That's probably the safest way to say it. The alternative way to smoke. We can't even say probably the healthier alternatives. People, you could probably get in trouble for saying that if you're an e-cig company. But, you know, the conspiracy theories surrounding it are not so they're not such conspiracies. I mean, big tobacco make billions and billions, and they funnel huge amounts of taxes to the government. Governments aren't going to just give up that money so easily. They're going to want to make sure that the legislation and the laws are all going to be in place, so they'll drag their heels as long as possible. Big tobacco definitely don't want this to really take on, because they're going to stop growing their money. They're going to have to start manufacturing things instead of growing it, shredding it, and put it into paper and letting you burn it. That's basically what's happening when you smoke a cigarette. You're just basically letting them shred your money and letting you burn it, because that's all they're doing, is they're growing it, they're shredding it, they're putting it into paper, packaging it, then sending it to you to burn. This is metal. You have Egyptian cotton in here, you have titanium, you have nickel cadmium, you have the actual build, the batteries. I mean, God, you can't imagine what kind of expenses the tobacco companies are going to start taking on if they have to start actually manufacturing a product instead of growing their money. So I'm going to calm down. I think you guys get the point. Please share this video with anyone and everyone that you can, and just get this message out there that it's definitely a better alternative. Notice how I said better and not healthier, but it's definitely a better alternative. And I'm just going to leave you with that. I hope that this little rant of mine made sense, and I highly recommend getting into these if you're craving cigarettes. If you've stopped smoking recently and you're getting the urge, don't go back to cigarettes. Just get yourself one of these, and you'll see that it works awesomely. And this doesn't even have nicotine in it, and it works for me. And it's all in the head, because I'm going to leave you with an Alan Carr thought about stopping smoking. Okay, now, nicotine stays in your blood system for like 45 minutes, right? So you have the effect in your brain that lasts literally minutes. Then it lingers and goes through your system, your bloodstream, you've just smoked a cigarette, and then it's gone after 45 minutes. So basically, every 45 minutes to an hour, you quit smoking. You really do, because the nicotine is out. After that hour, if you have ever gone more than 45 minutes without a cigarette, you've stopped smoking, because the nicotine has left your system. So what happens is the first time you ever smoke, you get a little high in the brain. The nicotine does something. It does something. It'll get you a little bit high. I mean, I used to know this guy that would use snuff, and let me tell you, the guy was high as a kite the whole day. I mean, he overdid it. He would literally use a whole thing of snuff a day, and the guy was flying. I mean, his eyes were just like that the whole time, and he was just literally flying. So it's a little bit different when you're putting that amount in and you're putting the physical thing in. So when you inhale it and you're taking when you're taking a cigarette, you have the effect for about 45 minutes, and then it's gone. So after that 45 minutes to an hour, it's all in the mind. So if it's all in the mind and that nicotine addiction is gone, for me, I just need this. Because I don't need to feel normal anymore. Because I don't have nicotine. I haven't had nicotine for 6 months. I don't need to feel normal. Because all nicotine does is when you take that first hit ever, you get a little buzz, a little high, and then you'll never get that buzz again. All you're doing is feeding your addiction to allow you to feel normal. That's it. That's Alan Carr. That's not me. I'm not making this shit up. That's Alan Carr. And everyone, if you've ever thought about stopping smoking, you've probably heard of Alan Carr. If you really want to stop smoking, go ahead and watch the Alan Carr video. It will convince you to stop smoking. And if you watch that and get into this, I reckon it's probably the formula, because that's kind of what's working with me. It's to understand the addiction on the one side, and then on the other side, use this, because you now understand it, and you don't need to have a cigarette. So I'm going to leave that with you. Happy Friday, Freilich and Shabbos, and everyone have an awesome weekend.